I'm Shelley Johnson with Kathy Tuccaro. You can hear us Tuesdays on tncradio.live at 8 p.m. Eastern on Women Road Warriors. And don't miss Steve Summers' Overnight Drive right here on tncradio.live, weeknights midnight to 5 a.m. Eastern. Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret. Hey drivers, did you hear music on tncradio.live that you really liked? Or maybe you heard us interview an author of a book you'd like to read or listen to. You can get the books, music, and other products you hear about by going to our website at www.tncradio.live and clicking on the shopping cart.
Welcome in TNC Radio.live. This is Taillights. Hey, I'm Tom Kelly along with Tom Kirk. We're here with the Baums, Larry and Angela, or should I say Lawrence and Angie. Be here with you for the next hour talking about some of their tales from the life on the road. They're a married couple who have traveled all over the United States together. They're one of those team driving deals where they keep on moving unless either weather, fuel, or just not having a load right that minute pulls them over. Otherwise, they just keep on going. And Larry's the type that's like, come on, you can do another 10 hours. Let's go. And he'll keep it moving.
Or we pull over and talk to you.
Or pull over to talk to us, and that's even better. We're glad to have you all with us here this evening, doing the show live on a Tuesday night. It's 2/22/2022, a Super Tuesday today, and so we're having fun with all of that, and it's great to have you all in. How y'all doing tonight?
We're doing great.
We're doing great. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to have you with us. We're excited to have you with us. And this show, we bring in people who have been on the road long enough that they actually have some stories to tell. And I think y'all have been out there long enough and have enough miles under you to have more than just a few stories. So we'll be hitting some of those. Alex Debogorski, our ice road trucker, hasn't been available because he got called up onto the ice road. So he's been out there doing that. Truck broke down. We got a few minutes with him. We'll have that for you next week. But it's great to have Larry and Angela here because we don't know with this time of year whether we'll hear from Alex again before the ice roads start to thaw. It depends on so many different things, weather, and sometimes it's too bad they can't drive, and sometimes it's too warm they can't drive, and sometimes he's got things like broken trucks and all that. So Larry and Angie have agreed to stick it out with us as necessary while Alex finishes up doing that stuff. Those guys, they'll drive until they probably shouldn't, and it starts when that ice is starting to warm up just a little bit, and there's maybe 2 or 3 inches of water on top of the ice. They'll still keep driving. But I was so shocked to find out that they don't go much more than 15 miles an hour.
Wow.
That's right. Especially if they go over the lake.
Yeah. When they're on the lake, it's 15, maybe 20 at the most, and even then sometimes it's less than 10. It just depends on conditions, and the ice has to, and Todd Dewey was explaining this a couple of weeks ago, the ice has to sound right. If it doesn't
our friend right, Jason told us that.
Yeah, and I mean, yes, Jason's been out there too, a good friend of y'all and of ours. If it doesn't sound quite right, then you're driving with the door open and your seatbelt off, so that you can jump for it if you need to. I'm sorry. What? Could you imagine, Larry? You're going down the road and you're telling Angie, okay, keep your door open. Yes, I know it's sub-zero outside. Just be ready to jump. Be ready to jump. If I tell you jump, you got to jump. Of course, Larry, with his sense of humor, would be like, "Hey, honey, you ought to jump." No, I was just kidding. I'll
pick you up on the way back. I would actually love to be an ice road trucker.
Oh, would you? Well, hey,
Yeah.
we know the right people. We can get you hooked up there. So that would be
I got the one person right here that's right next to me saying, no.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen. All right. Well, hey, it's great to have you all with us. Speaking of ice, there's always those stories of ice and fire. And I understand, start off tonight, we're going to talk about a little fire that went on that made life a little exciting for you guys. Before we jump into that, tell us real quickly, where are you tonight?
Tonight we are in Hayes, Kentucky, and we are heading towards Utah. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Hayes, Kansas, and we're heading towards Utah.
All right. Kansas, Kentucky, whatever. It begins with a K,
Exactly.
Basically the same. All right. So you're maybe headed into some of the weather that's going on out there. It's crazy weather this week. It depends on where you are and exactly what time. Could be very exciting. But you had a pretty exciting time not too long ago when it came to a little fire with the truck, huh? Tell me about that.
So we were with Ground at that time, and we were pulling doubles, 2 trailers. And we got a trailer right out of the shop. It just had the brakes done. We got 10 miles down the road, and Angie was driving. She was pretty new at this time, maybe 5 months. Yeah. The guy pulls up next to her, honking his horn. And she looks in the back, she sees the smoke, and she pulled over, and the mechanic adjusted the brakes too tight, and the wheels caught up. The brakes got so hot that it caught the wheels on fire.
Yeah.
So I jumped out and I disconnected the truck from the trailer, pulled the truck forward, grabbed the fire extinguisher, tried to put it out with the fire extinguisher. It did not happen. So then another guy pulled up, and he had a foam, which put it out. Our fire extinguisher, I guess, did not put out the tire fire.
Yeah, the fire truck still had to come and make sure it was safe for us to they wound up having to tow that trailer, and we had to get a new one.
Yeah, it was toast. We saved the trailer, though.
Well,
thank God that guy came and put out the fire.
So does that mean you got a different type of fire extinguisher now?
Yeah, we had to go right out and buy a new one because we emptied that one, and it did not put the fire out. So thank goodness a gentleman pulled up next to us.
Yeah, that tire fires, truck fires, those kinds of things can be very exciting. There is a trick to putting out those fires too that a lot of times people don't realize. You're not going to put it out from 12 feet away. I don't care how far that thing's supposed to spread. You got to get right up on it, and the pucker factor is a little bit tough right there, huh?
I definitely felt the heat.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. You got to get right up on it, and even then, if you don't have the right extinguisher, with enough force, it won't do well for you.
I actually had to use a fire extinguisher about 2 months ago. We were up in Virginia, and I was on the 81, and Larry was sleeping, and there was a car in front of me, and there was another car in the left-hand lane that was passing her. And all of a sudden I noticed that she had flames shooting out from underneath her truck. I mean, all the way up to the top of her windows on both sides of her car. So I'm sitting here blowing I started blowing my city horn. She didn't hear me. So then I went and blew the big horn, and the guy next to her started honking at her. Yeah. Exactly. And so we finally get her to pull over, and she's like, what? We're like, your car is on fire. So I pulled my truck, safely behind her because I didn't know if her car was going to fully engulf, grabbed my fire extinguisher and went out there and put her fire out. But she had fuel leaking underneath her car.
And by the time I woke up and stuck my head out the curtains, I saw Angie run into that car with the fire extinguisher.
I ran over there and put the fire out.
My hero.
Wow, you may have saved her life. I mean, you probably did save her life.
Yeah, she was crying. She had no idea. And I guess she had just bought the car. And actually the gentleman who was trying to pass her was a mechanic. And he said that from what he could see, it looked like she had a fuel leak underneath there. And that's probably what caught on fire. And the more that she was driving, she was just adding oxygen to that fire. And that's the reason the flames were just engulfing. I couldn't believe she couldn't see them because they were going up past her window. So, oh.
Wow. I was on 270 there in St. Louis out in the Creve Coeur area one day, and a car went by me well over 100 miles an hour and on fire.
Oh my gosh.
You were just on that today.
They interviewed the driver later that night after he had pulled over and his car burned up. And they said, we hear that you were going really, really fast. Why were you going so fast? And he said, well, I thought if I went fast enough, I'd put the fire out. And he was being totally serious. And I was just like, wow. Yeah, you know, they talk about the Darwin Award.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh my goodness.
Oh man,
And the
amazing.
flames.
Well, we've got a lot more stories here with Larry and Angie Baum. We'll catch up with that and all sorts of things right here on TNCRadio.live. Stay tuned with us. We'll be back.
This blog on TNCRadio.live is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. 5 best scenic drives for truck drivers. One of the many benefits of being a truck driver is traveling the beautiful United States. Truck drivers spend their life on the road. Although they may get tired driving, there's still routes and attractions most look forward to seeing. Whether it be cruising down the coast of California, driving in the Smoky Mountains, or passing through the Arizona desert, truck drivers all have their personal favorites. Here are the 5 most beautiful scenic drives rated by truck drivers. Pacific Coast Highway. The Pacific Coast in California, also called Highway 1, is one of the most iconic scenic drives in the United States. Driving along the Pacific Coast reminds you of a movie or a TV show. It's about 650 miles long and runs from Capistrano Beach in Orange County to Leggett in northern Mendocino. San Juan Skyway. San Juan Skyway, a scenic byway in Colorado, is known for its million-dollar views. The byway goes across the San Juan National Forest and has provided truckers with beautiful views of the mountains and landscape. Beartooth Highway. Beartooth Highway in Montana is a 68-mile byway that runs through southwest Montana and northwest Wyoming and goes into Yellowstone National Park. Along this drive, you'll see one of the most diverse ecosystems accessible by vehicle in the United States. Keep in mind that the scenic highway closes in the winter due to adverse winter conditions and typically opens up on Memorial Day weekend. I-64 in West Virginia. West Virginia has some of the most beautiful landscapes on the East Coast. Driving down I-64 in West Virginia feels like you're in a painting. If you have time to stop along your truck route, check out Tamarack, located just off I-64 in Beckley, West Virginia. Tamarack is a unique culture center with art from local artisans and delicious food. If you want the full Appalachian experience, check out Tamarack. Utah's Route 12. Utah's Route 12 is one of the most scenic routes in the United States. It's often called the All-American Road. Also, there are 2 national parks at each end of the road, Bryce Canyon and Capitol Reef, and many other unique scenic views. This info blog was brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
For the latest in Houston traffic, weather, news, and information, don't miss the Evening Surge on TNCRadio.live. What do you know about trains? Whether you're an expert or just want to learn something about the world of the railroad, join Bill and Jim Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central on TNCRadio.live.
Welcome back in TNCRadio.live. This is Taillights. Hey, I'm Tom Kelly. I'm here with Angie and Larry Baum. I also got Tom Kirk on the line too. Angie, let's start with you. How can people find out more about what y'all do? You got a lot of different things going on, different Facebook pages and so forth. Tell us about how people can reach you and some of the things that you guys are doing out there on social media.
Our main page is Married the Road. That's where Larry and I kind of live stream while we're out on the road and share our lives and share our 2 dogs. And then our other main page is Treat a Trucker. And that's our program that we've done for the last 2 years, where we go out and give out $10 gift cards to truckers as our way of just paying it forward and saying thank you to our truck drivers. So those are our 2 main pages.
You also are involved in a page for drivers only regarding safety and so forth. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I started this one about 2 years ago, also called Trucker Safety Info, and on that group I just post weather, construction, and accident information for truckers and RVers, just to help keep them safe out there. It's myself and two other people, and we try to keep the page updated all throughout the day and night, so that our truckers know what areas to avoid and where the bad weather's heading.
Yeah, we often refer to that page when we're doing our live broadcast and remind people that it's there. But it's hard to look at Facebook when you're driving down the road at 50 miles an hour or whatever. So when we see things pop up that are appropriate, we'll say, "Hey, we get this in here from the Trucker Safety Info page," and get that information out to everybody, because a lot of times, it's great to get the stuff from the National Weather Service, but it's also great to get eyes on, I'm looking at it right now, and here's truth of what's going on. The storm's really bad, the storm's not as bad, whatever. Get somebody who's actually right there to talk about it. It's always helpful.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Hey, so got you all in here tonight, and really appreciate you being here. Kind of hitting on your memory strings here on some of the things that have happened in your life as drivers. What's up next?
Well, I guess the one story was, kind of a sad story, but it was about a year into me having my CDL license. And at this point, we were driving for FedEx Ground out of Nashville, Tennessee. And it was right before Christmas. I think it was like 3 or 4 days before Christmas. And we were finally heading back to the yard. And it was about 2:00 in the morning, and we were just exhausted. And we were coming off of Breedley Parkway, heading to FedEx Ground. And I had come up to the stop sign, and I noticed that there was a young gentleman off on the side of the road, and he looked homeless, and he had a backpack on him. And I don't know why, but I had a feeling that I should watch out for him. So I came up to the stop sign, and I put my turn signal on to make a right-hand turn. And right after the right-hand turn, there was a UPS yard there. So I go to make my right-hand turn, and as soon as I get my truck fully into the road, he jumped right out in front of me and just put his arms out like he wanted me to hit him.
Gosh.
And thank God I had that feeling, like the intuition. And I wound up going into the middle lane of the road to avoid hitting him. But I had gotten such a good look at him. He was like, I would say 20, 21 at the absolute most. Long blonde hair, blue eyes, looks like a surfer. And I had to pull off on the side of the road. I was shaking and crying so bad. But he literally just jumped right out and put his arms out like he wanted me to hit him. And it was right before Christmas. And I don't know what told me to swerve, but something told me to swerve, because I would have hit him dead on. I just started accelerating, and that was probably the scariest thing I've ever been through.
Wow, I bet. We were talking off air. We hear those stories more often than we want to admit, and certainly more often than we put out there publicly, just because it doesn't seem to help. The data is that it doesn't help to talk about, oh, hey, and another one happened last night in Nashville, and here's one in Houston. It doesn't seem to help anything. And it's just a sad situation. And you have to hope that people like that are getting help. Of course, sometimes they can actually put the driver in harm's way. You
Yes.
Fortunately were able to swerve, but that might not have worked if somebody was coming out of the UPS yard at the same time you were swerving through there or whatever. It could have been disastrous for you. And, that is a scary situation. I'm sure a lot of our drivers have had similar close calls, and some, I know of at least one really good friend of ours who had it was two people in a car and crossed the median and hit him head on, and but they had left a suicide note at home. It was a plan, and fortunately he was okay. The truck was pretty much totaled, but he was okay. And it could have killed him too in the process. And it can be, it's hard enough driving out there with idiots. It makes it much more difficult when people are actually putting the driver in danger on purpose. Have you seen it before, guys, where and I've seen it online, but have you seen it in real life where people slam on their brakes in front of you on purpose?
I've had it happen. I was actually, well, Larry's had it happen too. The one where it happened to me, I was outside of Flagstaff going up a mountain, and the gentleman felt that I was going too slow, I guess, and he pulled in front of me in his pickup truck and kept slamming on his brakes. It went on for, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes, and I almost hit the back of his truck so many times. And the problem is that it was a whole line of trucks behind me. We were all climbing up this hill, and had I not been paying attention, it would have been a chain reaction accident. So yeah, that was scary. That's probably the worst one I've had.
How about you, Larry?
Yes, I've had it a few times, and now we have a dash cam just for that reason right there.
Yeah, Tom Kirk, you're with us, also a full-time driver. Have you seen this personally?
Yeah, I have on multiple occasions, and not just when I'm driving, but when the co-driver's driving. I'm and not necessarily to me, but I've also seen it happen to other drivers on the road, and it's almost like it's an epidemic. I don't know about you, Larry and Angie, but if you don't see it personally, I'd say at least once a week. We probably hear about it from one of our trucking friends a minimum of once a week.
Yeah,
if not more.
Yeah, the worst one I've had is I was coming onto the freeway, and I was getting up to speed, and my lane was about ready to end. I've had my blinker on for a good 100 yards, maybe more, and this guy was just hovering right at my tail end. So he wasn't speeding up, he wasn't slowing down, and my lane was ending. So I had to pull in front of him. And as soon as I pulled in front of him, he whipped around me, and he got in front of me, and he slammed hard on his brakes. I had to slam on my brakes. And at that time, I was training somebody. It wasn't with Angie. This is when I was with Swift. Yes, I was with Swift for 10 years. But yeah, he slammed on his brakes hard. I slammed on my brakes and just barely avoided hitting him. And my trainee that was in the bunk, he ended up on the floor. And he hurt his arm.
He hurt his what?
He hurt his arm when he fell out of the bunk.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And I mean, particularly in a team operation, if you get brake checked that hard, where you have to slam on your brakes that hard, there's, what would you say, 95% chance or better that the person on the back is either going to come flying out where they're looking up at you, but from between the seats going, hello, or if they have this safety net in the back, which a lot of drivers don't like, because you have a way to get, depending on how it's designed, you can get tangled up on it. You tend not to sleep as well. So a lot of drivers don't use it. But problem is, if you have to hit the brakes hard like that, there's a good chance that you end up between the seats looking at the driver going, hi, I was sleeping back there. And then they kind of point at the car and you just start shaking your head.
That's exactly what happened. He hit the floor and he rolled forward and his head came out from underneath the curtain. And he's like, I'm looking down at him and he's looking up at me. I'm like, sorry, dude.
Yep.
So it seems that some people are doing this and getting hit on purpose, and then claiming that they got tail-ended and they minding their own business and that kind of stuff, trying to collect insurance stuff. This is why I think every driver needs to have a dash cam, and not just 18-wheelers. Any commercial driver who should.
Yeah, there's a name for that. They call it a swoop and squat. They swoop in front of you and hit their brakes. And yes, they try to get rear-ended and get some money.
Yeah, and this isn't about they're angry with you or something. They're just going after the cash.
Oh, exactly.
And as in that case in Louisiana that we've been talking about on the station, and actually in a lot of the trucking groups over the last year or two, where it was almost an organized gang of people doing the swoop and squats, where I think there was doctors involved, lawyers, ministers, all different kinds of people involved. And it was literally a ring down around the New Orleans area.
Yeah. I know with Swift, whenever there's an accident and there's not like major injuries, it's like a fender bender, they'll give $100,000 just to keep it out of court.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, scary stuff out there. All right, let's come back and maybe we can find a happier, funnier story. Get us past this. Now I'm feeling kind of depressed, but I bet you there's more to talk about.
This party up.
I want to hear about having the dogs on board too. So we'll talk about all of that coming back right here on Taillights on TNC Radio.live. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Dr. Christopher Cortman, and now for the Mental Health Minute. I was asked this week to speak to a group on bullying. And this is a group of kids from a lower socioeconomic status part of town. And I want to ask them, what is bullying? Where does bullying come from? How does it happen? Do you bully? Do you get bullied? How does this work? Well, we have a lot of research on bullying by now. And one of the things we understand is that people who are bullied often bully themselves. And we know that the bully gets hurt, according to research, and so does the one who's bullied, and so do the bystanders. Everyone who witnesses a bullying event ends up paying a price for it. So if you hang around me, you hear that behavior is purposeful. Everything we do, we get something from, or we wouldn't do it. So why do people bully? Well, it's simple. Very often we bully because we don't feel good about self. And we feel that by putting somebody else down, it helps to elevate ourselves. It makes me feel better about me by subjugating somebody else. So what do we do with that? As soon as we understand that a child has issues with that, we want to interfere. We want to intercede because we understand that they have some deep-rooted issues that they don't feel good about self. And we want to help them to promote self in other ways. According to the great psychologist, Dr. Sid Simon, when a person likes themselves, two things are true. Number one, they don't do things to hurt themselves. And number two, they don't do things to hurt other people.
Be sure to listen to Building Strong Minds with Dr. Chris, Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, right here on tncradio.live.
Have you ever wondered how you can effectively make money on the side, or better yet, be your own boss? Hear the best of the Gig Economy podcast, noon Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Central on tncradio.live, or download at www.gigeconomy-podcast.com. That's www.gigeconomy-podcast.com. For the latest in ride-share and gig economy news, visit uberliftdrivers.com. That's uberliftdrivers.com. Welcome back in TNCradio.live. I'm Tom Kelly along with Tom Kirk. We're here with Angie and Larry Baum talking about all things trucking in the world of being a truck driver. Some of the stories that they have out there, you know, it is it's getting around dinner time. Starting to get a little bit hungry. Angie, what's for dinner?
I am actually going to make some homemade mac and cheese in the Instapot tonight.
What? Right there on the truck?
I do. We try to cook as often as possible in the truck. It saves us a lot of money and it's a lot healthier.
and a lot of times we do it live. People like watching us cook.
So okay, so you got an Instapot. What else do you have?
Let's see. We have a 3-in-1 gallons, which is a conventional oven, an air fryer, and a microwave. And then we have an electric skillet, an Instapot, a toaster, and a Keurig. I got to have my coffee.
Oh, yeah, you said electric skillet.
Okay,
Yep.
So how do you have this set up? I mean, is it there in the back and you go in the back, Angie, while Larry's driving? How does this work?
We usually don't cook too often while the truck's running, unless it's something simple like bagels. But usually, like when we're getting loaded, I'll cook us breakfast. And then usually at night, right before we swap, like tonight, I'll make us dinner. But yeah, and then we'll go to Walmart to get our groceries because that seems to be the easiest place to be able to get a truck in. Or if we're down like this weekend, we had groceries delivered at the truck stop, which
like
was
having
nice.
them delivered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. You have lots of stuff to talk about there. Well, any troubles going into the Walmart parking lot with the truck?
Yeah, we've had some where you'll see signs posted to say truckers, you can't park here or something like that. So if we see that, then we'll keep going because we don't want to get towed. But 9 times out of 10, if we're just in there for a short period and especially just buying something, they're usually pretty good to us.
Yeah, it's mostly the overnight parking that they don't like. Usually I drop Angie off in front and then I'll drive to the back or around where the docks are and I'll hang out there until Angie calls me and then I'll go pick her up. But while she was in there, one time, one of the security guards came out and wanted me to move. I'm like, hey man, my wife's in there shopping. So how you want me to take off with her inside shopping? He's like, well, you don't have much time. Tell her to hurry up. I'm like, all right, I'll call her right now and tell her to hurry up. I never called.
Yeah, that's crazy. So do you have some kind of refrigerator there on board too?
We do have a refrigerator and freezer.
Yeah, it's a small one, but it holds quite a bit. I try to do my shopping where we've got about 4 days worth of groceries in it. And then about every 4 or 5 days, we'll restock.
Now, I know you've got a good power unit, but obviously you can't have all the stuff running at the same time. Have you figured out what the limit is?
It is 2. We can have 2 heat things going, like a skillet in the microwave, but we have to turn off the TV.
Yep. We found out the hard way. We've blown a fuse here or there.
Yeah.
Hey, now, Larry and Angie, what inverter do you guys use?
We have a 3,000. 3,000 watt.
And is that a factory installed, or is that something you got and you guys had installed, or what? How did that work out?
This was another team's truck. And then when we got it, it was already in.
Yeah.
Starting in hopefully around Christmas time, we're getting a super sleeper with the kitchen, the shower, the bathroom, and everything in it. And can't wait for that truck.
Yeah, and then we'll really be able to cook.
Yeah.
But you do realize that once you have a truck like that, your boss is going to look. He goes, "What do you mean you need to go home? I got you a home."
That's it. We told him if he got us one of those trucks, we are going to sell our house and live on the truck. That was part of our agreement.
Wow.
Not bad.
Wow, that's a deal.
Now we're saving up for retirement, so we figured, we're hardly home as it is, so we'll just sell our house and live on the truck for a while.
And right now, with the way the housing market is, it's actually probably a really good time to sell it.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're in the process right now of fixing it up. We're getting the floors done and getting it painted and getting it all fixed up to sell.
Cool. Angie, tell me about, of all these different meals that you've cooked on board there, what's the one that you look back on and go, it was a lot of work, but I am really proud of the time I made?
Probably Larry's favorite lasagna. I have made lasagna on here. That's his favorite meal every time we go home. And there was one time we were out for about 4 or 5 weeks and he was starting to crave lasagna. So on a Sunday afternoon, I made him lasagna, and that was kind of troublesome, but took a lot of dishes and a lot of stuff I had to carry into the truck stop to wash.
And it was nice because I got to watch football and eat lasagna.
Wow. And now I assume this wasn't just Stouffer's lasagna.
Oh no.
No. She makes it from scratch. I love her lasagna. My favorite to cook is pork chops, cream of mushroom, and rice.
Wow.
That works.
Yeah,
that actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, you guys are getting me hungry now.
Now, Larry,
we have steak and eggs for breakfast sometimes. I make sunny side up eggs or scrambled eggs or an omelet.
Wow, fantastic.
Now,
Bacon,
Larry, do you
sausage.
like Mexican food?
I absolutely love Mexican food as long as it's not too spicy.
Okay. Well, this is something that when I used to cook on the truck a little bit with the Road Pro oven that I came up with, get yourself a pack of tortillas, fry you up, earlier in the week, some, meat. You can mix in some beans with it if you want, season it up the way you want to with your Mexican spices. Then you just take some of the meat and the tortillas and some cheese and anything else you kind of want to add into it and layer it up. Bake it in the Road Pro oven, or in your case, in your galans. And now you have what I call Mexican-ish, lasagna-ish.
Wow, that sounds really good.
Good.
We just had Mexican the other day. Angie made tacos and taco salad.
And the only reason I came up with that recipe is I was craving lasagna one time. I'm going, I don't want to mess with cooking the noodles. What can I do that will kind of give me something that's then I use salsa instead of tomato sauce. So I says, what can I use that's going to be kind of close? And I came up with that brainstorm. So yeah, if you ever want to do lasagna, but don't want all the work of cooking the noodles and everything else, that I found was a nice hack to kind of get you something close, but yet a little different.
I like that. We are definitely going to try that.
So I want to hear more about life on the road here. So you've got the TV. Is this one of those new satellite TVs, or how you doing that one?
It's a Roku TV. Well, it's a regular TV, but we got the Roku device, and we do have internet on the truck.
Okay.
So we have all the channels, the Netflix, Hulu, Disney. We have all those channels.
Yeah. And does the person not driving often sit back and watch TV, and then when you flip back off, say, hey, you got to watch this?
We have the TV hooked up. I have it MacGyvered with bungee cords at the foot of the bed. So we can lay in bed and watch TV. But the driver really cannot see the TV.
Right. I'm just saying that,
But they can hear it. They can hear it.
Yeah. But you can switch off later and say, okay, now I want to see what she was watching earlier and keep up.
Yeah, we have a show we're watching Manifest right now.
Yeah.
When we were home with COVID, we started Manifest. So I'm like 2 episodes ahead of her. So when I'm driving tonight, she'll come back here and catch up to me.
8:28, man. 8:28.
Yep, flight 828.
Yeah. So, and the one we were talking about the other day, turning on to this one, is Reacher.
What?
What was it?
Reacher.
Oh, yeah.
Reacher.
Uh-huh.
Reacher.
I don't know that one.
It's brand new, just came out, and it is usually anything on IMDb is that's new. If it's over 5, it's pretty. This is an 8.4 out of 10, which is unheard of. I mean, that's like Marvel movies, as far as likability and stuff like that. I think it's 8 episodes, maybe 9. I forget exactly. 1-hour episodes. Amazing show. Huge.
We're going to have to watch that. We like watching new stuff.
Yeah. And were you into the Game of Thrones craze too?
Oh yeah. So I hated the ending.
So we've got a new one starting here in a few months called House of Dragons.
Yes, I can't wait.
And we're going to have a new show on here. Already have the domain and everything set up for it, called House of Drivers. That will be a show for drivers about House of Dragons.
Very cool.
That is awesome.
Okay, so I'm looking for some co-hosts on that one. So keep that in mind. That's
when is that coming out? Do you know?
They haven't put the official announcement out there, but the rumor has it April-May timeframe. Some of the other shows that are getting released around the same time, they're trying to figure out how to position it best for the competition and all that kind of good stuff. So cool. That'll be interesting. I'll tell you what, we're going to take one more break here, step aside, and we'll be back in just a few minutes right here on TNC Radio.live. Stay right there.
Frontlane introduces Impulse, the world's first collision alert system for the driver behind you when you have to brake hard. Impulse uses ultra-bright pulsing red LEDs to alert drivers behind you who might not be giving their full attention to the road. Using amazing accelerometer technology and a battery that will last for years, Impulse installs in minutes, fits nearly any vehicle, and never requires additional wiring. drivers react 50% faster, helping to protect you and your passengers. Learn more by visiting www.frontlane.com/impulse. That's www.frontlane.com/impulse. Approved by all 50 states. Impulse by Frontlane.
This blog is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. 5 awesome tips for finding safe overnight truck parking. Truck drivers face many challenges in their career, and finding safe overnight truck parking is one of those challenges. After the tragic murder of truck driver Jason Rivenberg, Jason's Law went into effect to help protect the thousands of truck drivers who need to find safe overnight parking. Although Jason's Law was put into place to help drivers, safe truck parking continues to be an issue for truck drivers across America. We've put together a list of tips that'll help you make the process of finding safe overnight parking easier for you. Plan your trip. Pre-planning your trip is something every truck driver should consider doing. Not only does it allow you to map out your overnight parking, but it allows you to map out where you can get fuel and food. Before you hit the road, take a look at your route. Avoid scheduling truck parking in high-crime cities or congested areas. Pro tip: download the app Truck Park. With over 200 secure locations, the Truck Park app allows drivers to schedule their overnight parking in advance, so drivers don't have to worry about driving around to find a parking spot. Not only is it a relief to have your parking spot booked, but it's also more productive with HOS. Also, if you're a member of the Truckers Network, drivers get instant access to a 15% off promo code to use when booking a parking spot with TruckSpot. You can sign up for just $5 a month. Park early. If you don't choose to reserve your parking spot through Truck Park, we suggest parking early. The majority of safe parking spots will fill up quickly before it gets dark. If you can, start driving early in the morning so that when it's time to quit driving for the day, you won't find yourself fighting for a parking space. Park in a well-lit area. Walmart parking lots are an extremely popular location for overnight parking. Why? Because they're well-lit areas. When planning your trip, it may be difficult to know whether they have well-lit parking available. If you find yourself in a situation where you don't feel safe, talk to your dispatcher. They might be able to help you find secure truck parking. Lock it up. It may seem like a no-brainer, but you'd be surprised as to how many truck drivers forget to lock up their truck and trailer for the night. So before you go to sleep for the night, make sure to lock everything. Insert a dash cam. Dash cams are a great way to provide evidence if your truck was in an accident or vandalized. It's always refreshing to know that you have an extra set of eyes on your truck. This blog was brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. This blog is brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net. Truckers Against Trafficking can help fight modern-day slavery. Human trafficking is a real and frightening issue in the United States. It's a crime that forcefully exploits women, men, and children. Human trafficking involves transporting a person into a situation of exploitation, which can include forced labor, marriage, or prostitution. The term exploitation in this sense is commonly referred to as modern slavery. At this time, it's estimated that there are 20 to 40 million human trafficking victims internationally. According to the ACLU, the United States Department of State estimates that 14 to 17,000 people are trafficked into the United States each year. Truckers Against Trafficking exists to educate, equip, empower, and mobilize members of the trucking, bus, and energy industries to combat human trafficking. Truckers Against Trafficking goals: saturate trucking and related industries with TAT materials. Partner with law enforcement and government agencies to facilitate the investigation of human trafficking. Marshal the resources of partners to combat this crime. The Truckers Network proudly sponsors Truckers Against Trafficking and their efforts to fight against this heinous crime that's affecting hundreds of thousands of Americans each year. How truckers can help. Training video. Watch Truckers Against Trafficking's free training video and take the short quiz through their online portal. This will register you as an official TAT-trained, TAT-certified driver. Know the red flags. Download the Truckers Against Trafficking app and request a wallet card and window decal at tat.truckersnetwork.net. truckers@gmail.com. Share Truckers Against Trafficking's training with others in person and through social media. How trucking companies, schools can help? Training video. Share Truckers Against Trafficking's free training video with your drivers. Request a digital file of your video or physical DVD from tat.truckers@gmail.com. Know the red flags. Tell your drivers to download the Truckers Against Trafficking app and or request wallet cards for your drivers from tat.truckers@gmail.com. Register your company as trained to reflect your impact in the fight against trafficking and encourage others to do the same. This info blog was brought to you by the Truckers Network at app.thetruckersnetwork.net.
Join Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time for Women Road Warriors on your driver navigation station, tncradio.live.
You're listening to tncradio.live. Remember to tune into the Truckers Network radio show with Shelley Johnson, weekdays at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Welcome back in tncradio.live. This is Taillights, and tonight we're talking with Angie and Larry Baum. I'm Tom Kelly, along with Tom Kirk. Wanted to ask you, Angie and Larry, and either one of you can take this. Oftentimes, we have an ice road trucker on this show talking about life way up there in the north, but I'm sure you've had your fair share of weather run-ins, and today across America, there's just, I think all 48 states have something going on as far as a negative weather event as far as drivers are concerned. Tell me about one of the times that weather has been the story for you.
Well, I'd say the scariest one is in between Flagstaff and Kingman, Arizona. You really don't think of Arizona as getting much snow, but Flagstaff gets a lot of snow. And we were in between Flagstaff and Kingman, which is just nothing but mountains. And I was pulling doubles. We were with FedEx ground at that point. And in between Flagstaff and Kingman's about 2.5 hours or so. And we wound up getting 10 inches of snow during that 2.5 hour period. So by the time I finally got to Kingman, the highway was we were at a standstill. We were just creeping by, and I got stuck on the snow and ice and I could not go anywhere. So Larry had to hop in the seat to help me, and I'll let you take over from there.
We were facing uphill, and she came to a stop and then couldn't get started again. So I jumped in the seat. And I slowly got it going, got it up the hill, took the next exit. And right there was a Sears parking lot. The Sears was out of business and the parking lot was full. But I pulled into that parking lot, and right in front of me was a parking spot. It was like the angels opened the spot up for me, and I pulled right into it. And then that was like a safe haven. I cannot believe I made it into that spot. There was so much snow on the ground. That was scary. And
then an hour later, a FedEx freight driver pulled in because he was trying to get off the highway too. And he wound up getting stuck in the parking lot because at that point there was probably a good 10 inches of snow on the ground. So poor Larry's out there with 3 other truckers trying to dig him out and try to get him rolling again. I think you guys were out there for almost 2 hours trying to get him out.
Broke out my shovel. We were digging the ditch all around him.
So what time of day was this?
It was probably 1 o'clock noonish. Okay. It was early.
Yeah, it was in the afternoon. The sun was still up.
Because doing that in the middle of the night would have been pretty rough.
I did do that in the middle of the night. We were in Kentucky. It started snowing, and we pulled in and got a nice parking spot in a truck stop. And we were there for a few hours, and the snow was just coming down hard. And then this one guy, he was a new driver, was leaving the truck stop, and it's an uphill as you leave, and he got stuck. And I went out there and threw the chains on and taught him how to put chains on and dug him out, and finally got him rolling. That was about an hour worth of work.
Yeah, well, mainly it was because he wouldn't listen to you. He was new and he thought he knew everything.
Yeah,
he didn't want to listen.
Yeah, I was like telling him, just tap on the gas pedal, tap, tap, tap. Nope, he would want to floor it.
Yes. Yeah,
Wow.
he had to show him how to put on chains and everything else because nobody had taught him how to do that.
Now, that seems to be a common thread that I've been hearing here over the course of the last couple of weeks. I'm just curious, your best guess. I know you don't have official stats there in front of you, but what percentage of drivers do you think don't really know how to put on chains? I mean, maybe they can get them on, but they're not doing it right. What percent? I mean, is it 10%, 90%? What percentage of drivers don't actually know about chains?
I would say a good 30% don't know about chains. And what I tell everybody if they're a new driver, I said, when it's sunny out and it's a nice day, throw your chains on, practice, put them on, take them off, put them on, take them off, put them on, take them off. When it's a nice sunny day, practice those chains. So when it comes time and it's snowing and you're freezing, you know how to do it.
Yep.
Now, obviously, this is something that's easier to do in a team setting than it is by yourself. Have you all worked out kind of your system as to how that's going to work?
With us, I just do all the work. When it comes to anything out there, I'd usually do it, especially if it's cold out.
Yeah,
I'll do it until Angie doesn't have to freeze her beautiful hands.
Yeah, but she can move the truck a little bit here or there if necessary and all that kind of good stuff, right?
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes it a little
Like
easier.
if there's something out there like backing or something like that, and I'll need another set of eyes. Like today, she helped me. I blindsided in a tight spot, and she stuck her head out the passenger window and guided me in.
What other advantages do you have by having a team driver setting like that?
Oh my! Okay, yeah. Here's a story.
Apartment complex.
So we were in doubles, and I made the mistake of it was pulling into a Flying J, but I went in the wrong entrance, and it was the entrance to a little tiny apartment complex.
Oh no!
And I started turning the corner. I'm like, wait, this is a dead end down there, and I'm in doubles, and it's pretty hard to back up doubles, especially when you're already starting to make a turn. So I had to have Angie go out the back, and it was cold, and I'd back up until she told me to stop, and I was jackknifing the set in the middle of the two trailers, and then I'll pull forward, back up a little, pull forward, back up a little, pull forward, back up a little. She was out there for a good hour just for me to back up 20 yards so I could straighten out and pull into the parking lot.
Yeah, we were on our phones communicating.
Yeah, that's right. We were on our phones. I had my headset on, and she was on her phone back there. She's like, okay, back up. You got 3 feet, 2 feet, 1 feet, stop.
Oh my gosh! Now, Angie, tell me about Larry. I won't make him confess for himself. Does he handle those kind of things well, or is he pounding on the wheel and turning red?
Usually, I love my husband, but he is super anxiety ridden. But I have to say that night he did very well because I didn't know how we were getting it out of there. And if anybody's familiar with doubles, it's so impossible. He not only did he have to back up the doubles, but he had to make him go around a corner. And I was like, I didn't know how he was going to do it. I was so impressed. Like that night, I was like, oh my God. I like bowed down to him. Like, you're the best trucker ever. I don't know how he did that.
Well, that's nice to hear. And I'm sure it was one of those, Larry, where it's kind of like, you got to throw up your hands and just hope the Lord's going to get you through it, huh?
Yeah, it was like Jesus. It was a Jesus take the wheel moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was stressed there, and there was cars around and trucks, and there was not room to maneuver.
No.
And
I would have never been able to do it without Angie.
Well, it sounds like all in all, this is a good thing.
Oh yeah, we love it out here. It's just the two of us and our 2 dogs, and I wouldn't want it any other way. I love it out here.
I absolutely love it out here. Matter of fact, we were home for 3 weeks with COVID, and I was going stir crazy. I could not wait to get back out on the road.
I know, me either.
That's great.
We stay out here for about 6 weeks, 2 months, and we do like going home for 3 days or so. That's a nice nice break, but 3 weeks was just way too long.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, well, we're coming down to the end of the program, but before we do, wanted to check in real quick. Tell me about this Divas group that you have, Angie.
Yeah, so Trucker Safety Divas is an all-women's group. We welcome truckers, wives of truckers, family members of truckers. We've got a lot of moms in there. But it's an all-female group, and we just kind of help new drivers out in the industry or truckers that are already in the industry. And then every Wednesday and Saturday, Wednesday at noon and Saturday at 7 p.m. Central, we have live Facebook shows. And every Saturday we have a different topic. This week we're going to be talking about sleep apnea and how hard it is for sleepers or for truckers to get a good night's sleep out here on the road, and just some tips and tricks to kind of help people out. So every Saturday night at 7 p.m. we have a live show.
Fantastic.
And you do know.
Fantastic.
And you do know.
Fantastic.
And you do know.
Fantastic.
And you do know.